There he is.
Kevin,
Hey, brother, how are you?
I'm okay. I just heard that Dean Ford of the Marmalade
Oh, yeah?
in the 70s was actually working as a limousine driver for, the likes of Michael Jackson,
Oh, what?
Tom
Was he?
Petty. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he moved in 75. He moved to LA.
Okay.
And I can't believe that fucking company that was releasing the Marmalade never gave him a job. So he ended up being a limousine driver, and
Okay.
he was taking care of Michael Jackson, Tom
All
Petty, Bob Dylan.
All right.
So
Wow. I like Dean Ford, but I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of Junior Campbell.
Junior Campbell is a good writer. Well, he was doing the harmony, but the main voice. This guy could have been a twin of Paul McCartney. That sweet voice. And
I know what you mean. So anyway, we've got to somehow. I've known you 52 years. You've been around a lot longer than me, but I'm just like everybody else. Although you're in LA, Simon. I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here, and I'm as amazed as anyone that we're even talking about Northern Soul. Because if you'd have asked me 20 years ago, I'd have thought there's no way we're going to be speaking about this much longer. But it's not turned out that way. There is a fascination, as you know, with it. A lot of the folks, just to say before we get started with our Q&A, a lot of it is new people. A lot of it is new people. So I'm glad you're doing this podcast because I want people to know about some of the creators, how things happened, because it's very important. A lot of the folks now are going out dancing. They were never into this first time round. They are just people who were they were buying Marmalade. They were buying T-Rex. But they've got to 50. Right. They're old, and now they're leaping about to Louise Lewis and Terrible Tom and...
You're kidding me. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's all available. A lot of this music now, there's so many companies putting it digitally online and all this kind of stuff. But there's definitely, it won't die. These songs won't die.
I hope not. I hope not. You know, when you listen to stuff like The Professionals, that's why I love you.
Oh
my God.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Moses Smith, Epitome of Sound, Frankie Beverly. Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
Those songs are masterpieces.
Listen, my friend, just hold those thoughts because I got lots of stuff to ask you. But let me kick off our Q&A by getting to a part of your life that not very many people know. I know where you were born, but... If you could tell us about your early life in Casablanca, because most people, you would expect a Brit in America or an American in Britain, but a guy to come from Morocco and get into Northern Soul, how the heck did that come about?
Well, let me tell you something. I was the son of the 8th wife of my father. He wanted to have a boy as a descendant.
Your father had 8 wives?
Yeah, I'm the son of the 8th wife. And when I was 12, before he died, I said to him, Dad, I think you got a raw deal. In the evening, I made a friend called Jerry. He was a GI, and he was housed in the base in 30 kilometers from Casablanca. And he gave me the most incredible R&B songs because I was into R&B and I was collecting. And guess what? The first song he gave me was by a group called the Laurels. Okay. And guess who the lead singer was? Robert Ralph.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The Laurels.
Bobby Ralph.
And then, and then he gave me the Satin Tones, Sing When the Strings of My Heart.
Yeah.
So I started collecting just R&B, harmonies, and so on. Then one day he said to me, Simon, because I was his tour guide, I was taking him to all the places to buy things, and I was also his translator. I was already learning English bit by bit, so he said to me, look, I'm looking for a girlfriend. And I said, I can set you up, but you got to help me. I want to buy R&B records from the base. He said, don't worry. Get me 2 girls. My cousin also is a GI. We just want to go out with no sleeping or anything. Just go out with them. I went and I actually found 2 gorgeous, gorgeous mamacitas and dressed them up as a European style, not with the garbs that they were in Morocco. And then I took them to the base. They took me inside the PX, and I bought some cookies, of course.
Yeah.
But, oh my God, there was hundreds of EPs of everything that Motown put out, Stax, Atlantic, Capitol. I just bought every cent that I had in my pocket. I bought, and then the ones that I couldn't buy, he gave me the money to buy them. So now I had 2 turntables. I was working in parties doing DJing, you know, no mixer.
Right.
At that time, there was no mixer. Then one day I went to the coast of Casablanca where 3 big clubs were there. One, the biggest, was the Zoom Zoom.
Yeah.
I walked in there with my pile of records, and I was listening to the music. They were playing the Bill Haley and the Comets, rock and roll garbage, French songs. I said to him, listen, give me 10 minutes. I want to play a couple songs, and then if you want to hire me, I'll be glad to work with you. The DJ went, he said to me, you know, perfect, I have to go to the bathroom, so take over. So I put Sugar Pie Honey Punch. Oh my God! Havoc on the dance floor. The DJ came back and he said to me, can I borrow those songs? I said, no, they're the only copies I have, and I don't want them to be scratched. At the end of the evening, around 2 o'clock in the morning, the owner come to me and he says, Simon, I know you sell beautiful suits, but do you want to do a gig? I'll give you like $200 for 2 hours. I said, okay. Every night, I ended up doing 2 hours there, 2 hours at the Balcon, and 2 hours at Annabelle, another club. The 3 of them, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 2 o'clock in the morning. Kevin, if you had been there, seeing them dancing, you would have died, not only laughing, but having them lip sync to Baby Love in Arabic. Oh my, are you serious?
Well, listen, it was exciting music, and when people hear that in pretty much any country for the first time, it's going to be great. But let me just hold you there, because this is the most important part of this early conversation we've got with you.
Yeah,
the move to the UK. Why and when?
Well, in 67, there was a war in Israel.
Yes.
I was scared for my life because, after all, I was a minority, tiny minority. So I decided I wanted to leave. At that time, I met this British girl called Margaret, and we hooked up and got pregnant.
Right.
And then I said, you know what? I'm tired of all this. I've got like $50,000 in my pocket. Let's move to England. Where are you from?
That's a lot of money back then.
Oh yeah, no, my suits were like $2,000 each.
Wow.
Each. No, you know, I was so precautious. There was nothing that I couldn't do. All I had to do is try it and perfect it. So what we did, we drove from Casablanca all the way to Gibraltar, got married so that my daughter that was going to be born, Thora, would be legal. So we got married in Gibraltar and drove all the way to Gateshead, where I finally learned Japanese English.
In Tyneside, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get locked into hearing Northern Soul so you could get interested in it?
I went when Margaret went to spend a weekend with her mother. I went to Leeds,
right?
And I wanted to meet George Best because I was a big fan of George Best, Tony Banks, Bobby Charlton, soccer. I went to the Inn Time, And finally,
Yeah.
I'm listening and I'm watching these kids dancing to Motown songs and a few, a little bit hurt, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
all that.
Still popular
Dolan
today,
thing.
by the way. That is still popular.
Of course.
Julian Covey.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you link Covey and the Machine, yeah.
Yes.
You left me, baby. A little bit hurt because you wanna be free. A little bit hurt, and I'm thinking maybe that
And I watched the DJ and I went, oh my goodness, this is great stuff. So I kept that in mind and I went to California and I met this incredible guy called Lonnie Cook.
Yep. I know
And
him. I know him.
He owned a store
Yes.
in LA. I went to his store and I bought like 500 records.
Yeah.
Then he told me, look, there's a lady, family name is Flash.
Yeah.
She has 3 stores. I'm going to hook you up with her.
Yeah.
So he hooked me up with the lady from Flash and again, another 2,500 records. So I came back to England and made a killing.
Mm.
I went to the catacombs.
Yeah.
I went to, what was it?
Were you the Torch? The Torch?
The Torch. But nobody knew my name. I was just selling records. Boom, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 50 pounds.
Yeah.
I remember Hey Saloni. Oh, my God. I couldn't believe that song. But they were dancing and I was mesmerized.
Yeah.
I finally got a feel what it was.
I'm going to take a short break and we'll be back.
Then I think at that time, I moved back to England, and I think I hooked up with Ian Levine,
Yeah.
my better half.
Yeah.
And I said to him, what do you classify as? He says, well, Motown records are northern, but you need to refine that beat, the strings, the brass, and the harmonies. So he sent me 5 records, some of which were The Sweet Things, I'm in a World of Trouble, Jerry Cook, and 3 others I can't remember. Is it not 6 by 6?
That is, yeah, you've got me going now.
You know which
One in a
it is.
Million.
No.
Not One in a
It's an
Million, Maxine
instrumental.
Brown. It sounded like it.
No, it's an instrumental.
Oh, Thumber Ride. Thumber Ride. Earl Wright. Yeah.
All right. So I listened to them intently and I said, okay, so that's the beat. It has to be 4/4. It has to have some strings and brass to punch the hooks. Then I decided that my wife didn't want to move with me to LA again. I was begging her. Unfortunately, at that time, I met this girl called Sharon,
Right.
and she bore me a child called Hillary.
Okay. Is Sharon English?
Yeah, British.
Right.
Hillary. Yeah, Hilly, who is now 52. Sharon, and I kept that name. I like that name, so I think later on I created Sharonette. That's because of her.
That's where the name came from. I see the ex-wife.
Karen, beautiful. No, I didn't marry her. I was just her boyfriend, and she got pregnant, and we had a child.
Right.
I was still married to Margaret.
Right.
And my baby, I didn't want my baby to find out that her mother was divorced, so we let that to happen later, much later. Now, I decided I want to try and produce my own songs. Like, well, you know, I'm in a world of trouble, so I started doing things, and one of them was Papa O Mau Mau.
Yeah.
So I meet this guy called Johnny Pace, which I'm sure you know.
Of course.
And I said,
did old
yeah.
Jackson? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I said to him, "Can you arrange a song?" He said, "Yeah, what song?" I said, "The Rivingtons, Papa O Mau Mau." He said, "Yeah, that's easy." The poor guy arranged it to the T. He played the drums, I played the percussion, and I did the
Yeah.
in the beginning of the song.
Yeah.
And I did all the low part of Papa, 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 oh, Mama, Papa. And we recorded it. Listen to this, wait. And I send it, for some reason, I think I send it to Black Magic, to Brian Selby.
Brian and John.
No, actually, no, it was John Bratton
Johnny
that got
Bratton.
hold of me. And he said to me, if you have any northern sounding stuff, send it to us. So I mailed him an acetate of Papa O Mau Mau. He released it. That went top 15.
Yeah.
I remember when I went back to England, listening to Tony Blackburn, he would have his dog bark. Oh, oh. And then he would, yeah.
Yeah.
And he would play it.
Yeah.
The song went crazy. What further got me into Northern Soul is watching it at Wigan
Yeah.
and watching the kids dancing in the air.
Yeah.
In the air.
I was there the night you were there. I was there.
Oh my, wait a minute. And I went there with Ian Dewhurst.
Yes.
And this guy wanted to punch me. I pulled out. And, yeah.
Okay.
And Ian Dewhurst got his front tooth broken.
That was a Blackpool Mecca, by the way.
A Blackpool Mecca? Okay.
It was a Blackpool Mecca, but you were at Wigan Casino because I was there. I queued some records in for you. I was there at the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a, you know, let me tell you something. Northern Soul should be revisited full blast. Listening to rap, listening to all this garbage.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift? Hey, please. And then in 1978, I said, I have to go better than that. I have to go for America. And because of all the Motown songs that I played when I was in Casablanca, you know, Sugar Pie, it's the same old song. This All Heart of Mine, Baby Love, Tears of a Cloud. I said, I want to do a medley. Nobody had heard of a medley at all. I wanted to find a studio. I only had like $10,000 on my pocket. I went to Inglewood, and somebody pointed me. They said, go to Ike Turner's studio. He's got the finest equipment you'll ever see in your life. So I went, and being cheeky as I am, I knock on the door. He opens the door. He says, what do you want? And I said, I came to elope with Tina. He goes, you little fucker, you're too short. I said, seriously, are you Ike Turner? He said, I am. I said, my name is Simon Soussan. Can I talk with you? He said, sure. We go inside. At that time, he was being investigated by the feds. I don't know what it was for, but whatever. We sat in his studio. He had every single piece of equipment you can dream about. I said, I want to do a medley of Motown songs, and here's the list. He said, what do you need from me? I said, I need a studio, and I need musicians and singers. He said, no problem. He got me Paula Roussel, Reverend Gary Mumford, the lead singer of Shalamar, the original Shalamar.
Yeah.
Beautiful singer. And we sat down for 2 weeks in his studio, his personal studio,
Yeah.
and recorded Shalamar. At that time, I didn't call it Shalamar. I called it Sam and Kitty.
I remember it. I remember the acetate. Let's just pause,
Yeah.
Simon. Let's just pause that moment because I want to get back to disco with you, and I want to talk in a few minutes' time. I want to talk to you about Thank God It's Friday and Patty Brooks. But I've got a couple of things that I do want to mention that I think are very, very important, particularly with your Northern Soul career. I mean, you're a very creative person, and I always say that about you, that without people like you in the formation, the elevation of Northern Soul, it couldn't be popular unless records were available and also people, there were interesting things. So a particular moment in time that I think you were really at the top of your game, we're taking tracks like Total Eclipse, the album 6 o'clock, and turning it into Super Time, Golden World Strings. I mean, one is a fantastic title. Another great track, of course, Double Cooking, Checkerboard Squares, Bob Wilson, Strings a Go-Go.
Yeah.
Great.
Which became, go.
They were great, but they were fantastic finds. And of course, not a song where the title was changed, but Paul Anka, I Can't Help Loving You, just fantastic. I mean, at that moment in time, there probably wasn't a better discoverer of new Northern Soul finds than you. I mean, that was your time, wasn't it? Your magical moment in time.
I was in LA. I went to every black church and I posted a notice of anybody that had a label. I was interested in buying the label. At that time, they called me Mr. Cashflow. And I bought a studio in Hollywood called Star Trek, and they were lining up. And that's how I got Renfro, I got Terry D, I got all these small, tiny labels from LA. The only two labels that I couldn't get was I wanted to sign Betty Swan. I was mesmerized by the sadness of her voice. But the owner of Cash and Money, he would not budge. He said, "No way, you're a Jew?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "No way." And I said, "So you decline in even Jesus Christ, who was a Hebrew too?" And he goes, "No, we cannot let you sign her." So I was heartbroken. Anyway, so I take the acetate of Shalamar, and this is how things are going to come to what you were asking me. I took it to a private club called the Beverly Hills Robertson Club. It was private. And I went to the DJ and I said, "Hey, play this." There were like 200 people on the dance floor. But they were just like dancing to slow records and funk. And in the corner, who was sitting there? Don Cornelius of Soul Train. The guy puts the song on and havoc on the dance floor because everybody knew those songs. Every single person.
This was Uptown Festival. Uptown Festival. Yeah.
And Don Cornelius walks to the DJ and he said, "Who is this?" And the DJ said to him, "It's a group called Sam and Kitty." And he said, "Who brought it to you?" He said, "That young guy over there with the gray hair." He called me and he says, "Come on over." He said, "This is brilliant." And I said, "Thank you. It's my dedication to all the songs that made me a big DJ in England, in Morocco. And I wanted to give it my own recognition." He said to me, "Let's have dinner." So me and my girlfriend Sabrina, who became my wife, my third wife.
I think I met her, Simon. You know, when I came in March '74 to see you, was that was Sabrina, wasn't it? When you lived at West Knoll Drive. Yeah,
she co-wrote After Dark with me.
Yeah.
Patty Brooks, which was the title of the movie Thank God It's Friday.
Yes, of course.
It was called After Dark, and then they changed it and so on. Anyway, I went to his house. He said to me, "How much did you spend on the on this track, and I said $10,000 to Ike Turner. He said, I know Ike very well. He said to me, you want to sign with me and I'll release it? And I said, sure. What a mistake. What a mistake. But karma is a bitch. Listen to this. He releases it. We changed the name. I said Shalamar. He said to me, no, we can get sued by the perfume manufacturer in France called Shalamar.
Yeah.
So,
Guerlain.
do you have it?
Guerlain.
Yeah, Guerlain, exactly. So I said, okay, so let's make it Shalamar. Became Shalamar.
Yeah.
So, and then Shalamar became a massive
Yeah.
disco hit. I became producer of the year. I still have the award. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm going to send you the picture.
Fantastic.
To listen to some of the great music we've been talking about today, click the links below. If you want to buy great Northern Soul music, visit charlydirect.com.
With all the fellas standing around, yeah. Please don't, that's what they'll be saying.